Hello, my beloved tribe. This is Emily Potter. I'm the director of the Lightworker Musicians Tribe. And we had a tribe member today who shared with us his new song. The reason why that's significant is because he kept a promise to himself. He did a challenge that he was going to write 2 songs a month. He listened to one of my videos that gave that challenge as a way to keep your word to yourself if you're someone who struggles with finishing songs. He actually did that. He took the advice, the counsel from that video of mine, and he applied it, and then he was able to share with us today that he has the honor of saying that he has kept his word to himself. So the expression and the fulfillment that we received from his song and from his excitement from the momentum that he built was so inspiring that I wanted to do a live video about this question. Are you someone who keeps your word with others, but do you struggle in keeping your word with yourself? So I want to express to you, and I want to talk to that inner knowing that you have. I want to go deep with you with this one. This is no small thing. I have the belief that your word, keeping your word, is one of the most significant gifts that you can give to yourself and to all of life. There is nothing more important than keeping your word. And this is something that we have seen in history, where in a past life, in the earth's history, it was like life and death. If you said the words, "You have my word," you knew that that is a vow that could not be broken. That is not something that we have as part of our culture now, but I want to share with you why it is still as substantial an experience as a human. So perhaps you're someone who does keep your word to other people. That's something important to you, so that you are a person of integrity and you are known as being trustworthy. I'm going to give you an example of something that you might even see as very small, as a reason, something that you can just say no big deal to. But the reason why it's so particular is because it's the small details of life that makes something fantastic and wonderful. And it's the small details of your integrity that keeps you in integrity and living a trustworthy life. So it's these small examples. So you might see yourself as someone who keeps your word with other people. We are in a culture where it's almost like automatic to say things that are out of our word. And I'm going to give you an example. Here's one that you might already have down. If you tell somebody, "Hey, I'm going to get that to you by Friday." Okay, so you come and you say those words, "I'm going to give this to you by Friday." The person's like, "Oh, okay, great." And Friday comes and goes, and you don't even recognize that that was a thing. So that's an obvious that you did not keep your word. And then you guys could talk about what the repercussions of that are. That's a very obvious one. But what about this one? This is part of our culture that means that we don't actually keep our word. And this is where I want to get to really, really tiny in the specifics. You see someone at the store that you haven't seen in years, an old friend, and they say to you, "Hey, give me a call sometime," when you guys part ways. And you say back, "Yeah, I will." "Okay, great, nice to see you. That would be nice to see you. I'll call you." And you then just said the words, "I'll call you." Now, that's the equivalent of saying, "I will." Those are the key words. I will. My word is that I will call you. Now, you might be listening to this and saying, "Oh my gosh, we do that stuff all the time. Yeah, I'll call you, no big deal." We kind of just know it's no big deal. But where do you distinguish the difference of "I'll get that to you by Friday" or "Hey, I'll call you"? Where does the distinguishing factor come in? I'm really harping on this because I'm going to tell you how it applies to you and your music and your soul's purpose. It's in these tiny little details that if we do not pay attention to these tiny little things, then we are missing some of the most magical gold of what we can offer in our character, in building our character. So instead of saying, "Hey, I'll call you," because the words "I will" is like a vow, or it has been in the past of what the word means, what our word means. "I will" is a promise. And we say it so flippantly, like it's nothing. So instead, in those situations, I actually never say the words "I'll call you." If I do say the words "I'll call you" because I'm trained to say things like that, yeah, I will, because it's so easy to say, then I actually make a note in my calendar and say, okay, I told them I would do so. Now that person may not think it's any big deal. Like, oh yeah, that's great, she called me, or not, that person may not care. But this is the difference between me knowing that I'm a person of integrity and that my word means something or it does not. So if I actually hear myself say the words "I will" or anything like it, I will write it down and make sure to call that person. Another way to in that experience, and I promise I'm going to get back to why this is relevant to our music, but this is really important. This is really important. And the people who are listening to this, there's a reason why it's resonating with you, because there is gold here. There is absolute gold. So in that situation, I would say something like, it would be so nice to see you. So I did not promise anything. Now you can make it your own, of course, but there are times where you're just making it very, very light and flippant in that space. And keeping our word in all of these meticulous places means the difference between being of your word or not. So the consequences, if we are not a person of our word, of course, we want to be our word to other people, because we want to be seen as trustworthy and full of integrity. But where we really lack, and I want to ask you if this is something that you struggle with, is keeping your word to yourself. That if any of you are rock climbers, this is an example I saw, this is an analogy that I saw a vision of. It's the difference between going up a rock that is granite and solid and steady, and that you can trust, that you can go up that rock and have that forward momentum going forward. It's the difference between that, or if you're going up just sandy, sedimentary, breaking off rocks that are just breaking off and not being able to trust that it's going to stick or it's not. That's the difference. So when we're not of our word to ourselves, we're basically saying, my word means nothing to me. When I say something, it doesn't mean anything. Now we make strides to make that happen differently for other people, but with the reason why it's relevant for you and your own relationship with you and your word is because if you are not of your word, then it looks like this. You start songs and you don't ever finish them. You create a practice schedule that you keep for a couple of days and then you just don't anymore. It doesn't mean anything to you. You say the words, which many of you have when in this group, that it is a must for you to give your offerings of music medicine into the world. You say those words, that this is a must for me to do, but then you break your word as soon as you stop the sentence because you don't take any action, or you take very little action that doesn't get you out of your comfort zone. And that's where the gold is outside of your comfort zone, and it always will be, every single time. It has to be. That's the nature of a dream, and the expansion of you as an evolutionary being is outside of your comfort zone. So you say the words, I know that this is my gift to the world, and then you take no action and you just immediately just broke your word right there, because the only alternative to that is saying, I know that this is my gift. I know this is what I get to offer the world. I know this is my soul's purpose, and this is the next action step that I'm taking. That's someone of their word, and then taking the actual action and being accountable. This is why it's relevant, keeping your word to yourself, because you want to climb with momentum to where your soul's purpose is taking you. So starting with those tiny little things, those tiny little words coming out of your mouth, and that's a way to practice. That's a way to practice being of your word, because even now, just listening to this, even if you change nothing, my voice is now in your consciousness. And so then you'll at least be more aware of it, because you are on a path of being someone who is full of integrity. That is your path. That's who your true nature is. And so you are listening to this and saying, where does that resonate for me? Where can I improve in being of my word? Which is it's a completely it's a process for sure, and being able to really value that about yourself, and it feels amazing. It feels amazing. So here's one little tool I want to share with you right now. If you've ever broken your word to yourself before this moment, this is going to clear up that energy. What we want to do is close the loops. The you have this cycle of not keeping your word. Okay, so if you've ever started a song, if you ever started a book that you never finished, if you started a movie, didn't finish, if you told someone you call them and you never did, you have a lot of loops that are not completed. They're cracked. There has a big crack in it. And so you want to close those loops, but you don't maybe have to go back and read all those books and that you never finished, or talk to all those people. That's a lot. And you want to start with a new, fresh energy starting this moment. And this is how you can do it. In order to close that loop and seal that cycle and let the past be the past, you're going to start with a new breath right now. So go ahead and take a breath with me. And you get to say, I take full accountability for my word. I take full accountability for all previous times that I have not kept my word. Those words alone. Now, you might have to go back into some of those patterns. I don't know all of the situations for you. But in general, you are starting a new relationship right now with the word accountability. I am someone who keeps my word. I am accountable. So what the power of what we just did, it might seem very, very simple, but what you did is just acknowledged. Instead of just having it be this ignorance out there, like, I don't know, it doesn't matter, oh, it's too many times and whatever. No, you're actually looking at your word and saying, I am accountable for times that I have not kept my word. You're putting the energy and the observation on those moments in your past. So now there's a closed loop where there was that disconnect. You're saying, I take accountability for it. I'm 100% accountable for that. And now I am someone who, I am on a path, I am on a road, I am someone who honors and keeps my word. Now, that takes practice. I want you to be really kind with yourself with that. I want you to apply this specifically to your music. Where is a place that you would like to practice keeping your word with your music? Let it be something small if this is something that you struggle with. There's nothing more important than this conversation right now, because your soul's purpose is calling you to bring that momentum forward and be someone that you can trust. The universe wants to have this relationship with you that's trust in going forward, so that you're climbing up on granite that's solid and not something that just keeps breaking and your momentum gets compromised. So this is your new moment right now. What are you going to do with this new moment? I completely support you. Now, one of the tools that I always want you to know is accessible to you is that when you're ready to hold a very strong and high level of accountability to really make some exciting momentum go forward with your music, reach out to me and we will get you to that side, to the other side, where you are actually someone who keeps your word on a regular basis, consistently having momentum. Having accountability is such a powerful thing. Having someone to be accountable to, having that mentor, having that someone checking in on you, that's a powerful tool. So definitely know that's available to you, and I look forward to having you reach out to me when you're ready to go to the next level. And I send a lot of love to you all. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.